Welcome back, and in this video we're continuing a remake of the ZX Spectrum classic Jetpack. So we have this Rocket Manager script, and it contains the scripting objects that make up each one of the rocket parts. So we get this rocket asset here, which is our sprites, and that makes up the top, middle, and the bottom. And they are stored somewhere here, rocket assets. Yeah, U1, U2, U3, and U4. And you see that we've just got, it's just the sprites that we have listed in there. So what I want to do is, for the rocket manager, well, a couple of things. I want to change the rocket part. The rocket part itself, the script needs to change because I've got this idea where I'm going to have two sprites and I'm going to show them one on top of the other and use a mask for the fuel. And the way I'm going to do that is inside our prefabs, we have a rocket part. So right now our rocket part has a sprite renderer, and if I go to here, it's got a sprite renderer and a box collider. I want to get rid of this sprite renderer here and use this rocket part script down here to basically control two sprite renders. So the way I'm going to do that is I am going to go to artwork, and I'm going to drag and drop a sprite into here, and that's going to create one sprite there. And I'm going to drag and drop a sprite into here, and that's going to drag and drop that there. And I'm going to get rid of this sprite renderer. So I don't want that anymore. This happened last time. Why did this happen last time? Tried this before and I fixed it. I can't remember what I did to fix it. Oh, that was it. Yeah, it goes to some crazy thing in the distance. So, okay, so if I do this now, that's it. So, this has got to be 0 as well. And 0. And bring that into there. Okay, so now we have our sprite in at this position here. And we're just going to call this white rocket, and we're going to call this tinted rocket because we need to know what the names are, so it makes it easier for us. So our tinted rocket is going to be a purple color, so that means that we're going to have a red of about let's do this here, CC00CC, which is purple-ish. That's good. And set that to 1 because we want that to be over there. We also want to add a sprite mask. So if you don't know where the sprite mask is, you just go into search and type in sprite mask like that. And then the sprite we're going to use is, I've created this. I created these two sprite masks. Basically, we just want the bottom one. So I'm going to drag that into our sprite there. And I'm going to say I want this to be valid when it's inside the mask. So now you can see that we have our fuel. So in Jetpack, when you drop the fuel, you get this one container here. Now the sprite renderer itself, it won't be visible when we don't have any fuel in there. We make it visible when it's set to be this, and then we do none when we have 2 units of fuel in this one particular object. So we need to have a bit of code that does that. So our tinted rocket is going to be not shown just now. So that means we need to change rocket part. So rocket part, we're going to have public sprite renderer white rocket, public sprite renderer fueled rocket. Oops. And I'm going to set those values straight away so that I don't forget. So our tinted rocket is going to be our fueled rocket, and our white rocket is going to be that there. Okay, and then I'm going to have public int fuel cell count equals 0. So we're going to default it to 0, and then we're going to say void update switch fuel cell count, and then let's give this a range, and then it's going to be can we do range int? No, we can't. Can't we do that? Min. Don't want that either. Alright, never mind. Let's just leave it at that. Case 0, break. Case 1, break. Case 2, break. Okay. And then we want to say actually we can do enumerator start var last cell count equals fuel cell count while true, all of that, and then we need to make sure that this enumerator has a value, so command period, and then add that there. If last cell count not equal to fuel cell count, we want to do all of this. Last cell count equals fuel cell count. Okay, so I want to have that in there, 0, 1, 2. So if it's 0, then we want to say fueled rocket dot game object dot set active false, because it doesn't have, so for when we have 0 fuel cells, the game object is not active. And then for this one, we want to set it to true, and then we want to say fueled rocket dot mask interaction equals visible inside mask. When it is 2, we want it to be that fueled rocket dot mask interaction equals none. So we can simplify this because we know that we need to do set active for everything. So we're going to do set active, and then it's going to be fuel cell count not equal to 0. Okay, so if it's not equal to 0, then we want to set it to be active. So we can get rid of that and get rid of that. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to have our mask interaction. So is it visible inside it or outside it? So it doesn't, if it's inactive, it doesn't really matter. So that's okay. But if it does matter, then we're going to be showing one or the other. So fueled rocket dot mask interaction equals, and then fuel cell count equals 1. Then we want to make it visible inside there. Otherwise, it's none. So we can get rid of all of that. We don't need it. And there we go. So we've simplified that. If I just bring this down so you can see it all on one page. So we've simplified the whole thing we've said, okay, so it's if the last cell count is not equal to the current cell count, then we set it to be, we remember the last one. And then we say set active if, set the fueled rocket game object, in other words, the colored tinted version of it, to be active if fuel cell count is not equal to 0. In other words, we have fuel in there. And then we want to say set the mask interaction to be visible inside the mask if we're at count 1 and visible if, and not visible if it's none. So if we go back to our window here, I don't think I can show that rocket part. Let me create a new basic scene, create, and then I go to prefabs, drag rocket part into there, 0, 0, 0, and then I can bring the camera back so it's there. So if I select the rocket part, oh shoot, whoopsies, yield return, no, uh-oh. Okay, there's a rookie mistake for you. This is now well and truly hung. So the only way to get out of this is to close all windows and kill it. End task. Okay, let's kill that and then let's restart it again. Okay, right, new scene, create scene, and then I'm going to drag my rocket part into there, and then the camera, I'm going to move it just a little bit further out, and let's save this one here. So let's call this fuel part test and run. So if I select fuel part, and so it's in 0 just now, and I change that to 1, nothing happens. 2, nothing happens, and so on. Okay, well that was a good test. All right, attach that to Unity. So let's change this to 1. Okay. So game object, so that is not active, so set that to be true. And then set the mask interaction. So the current interaction is visible inside mask. So it's still visible inside mask. And then hit return. My guess is that this is not showing. Let me see where that is. So this is the tinted rocket. Let me move that out of the way. And it is not there. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, it's not. Bottom fuel. Okay. Sprite default. Sorting layer, sorted, bottom, alpha cutoff. Well, that looks okay. That's not good. Okay. Why did that not work? Okay, so let's go for this one here. And let's make sure that's set to 1. Visible inside mask. Now, let's see, we've got the... Oh, you know why? Because I'm not setting that part. I'm just setting the part on there. Right, bottom, sprite render. The sprite render is not active, that's why. Oh, but it should be in the other one. me go back to that. Okay, so if I set this to be 1, okay, so fuel count is 1, fueled rocket, game object. Oh, it's because of, no, wait, no, hold on. Oh, it's the sprite renderer, that's what it is. Oh, enabled equals that. That's why. Because it's the sprite renderer. Okay, there's one more thing we need to do as well. So we need to set that there. So if we set this rocket part to be 1, and that's good. And then we set that to be 2, and then that's good as well. Okay, so that's our fuel thing there. The other thing we need to do is we have a sprite renderer here. We need to change that. We need to say we need to have a, so inside Rocket Manager, it's going to set where are we? Initialize the rocket position, show rocket parts. So if we go to show rocket parts, you see that we set the sprite, we grab the sprite renderer and we set the sprite. So what I'm going to do is, instead of that, I'm going to create a public void init, init, and then I'm going to pass in the sprite and the part ID. And I'm going to say, let's just have that as equals part ID, and white rocket dot sprite equals sprite, white rocket dot fueled rocket equals sprite. So instead of this, we have init and that. There. Okay. So that is our rocket parts there. So that's good. So if we open our scene, I should have opened recent scenes there. If we open our recent scenes, then there's our rocket parts, which is right. And if I choose this rocket part here and I choose 1, there we go. That gets set to be there. 2 gets set to be there. If we set this to be 2 and this one to be 2 as well, then that sets all those rocket parts to be the correct thing. And obviously if it's just 1, then we do that. So our rocket manager, we need to have something in the rocket manager now that says, okay, if we have a part, if we have a number, then we are going to we specify a number between if I go back to here, the bottom ID here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's basically 6 parts to the rocket. So if I set this to be 0, then nothing gets shown. If I set it to be 1, then this part here gets shown, and 2, and so on. So that's the next step, is to get that done. So we're going to do private int, oh no, I need public int fuel level. I think I have fuel level elsewhere, and I think I need to change that to be in here, because that makes more sense. But let's leave it at that. So I'm going to change this item numerator, all true, Yield return null. Make sure we do that this time. And then I want to say var last fuel equals fuel level. Let's call it fuel level there. So we want to say if last fuel level not equal to fuel level, last fuel level equals fuel level, and then we need to do some processing here. So each of the parts, so we know that each of the parts is there. Do we have drop the part, ship as whole, target rocket part? So I don't know if we have a list of all the rocket parts. I think we need to have that list. Positions I. So our first position is negative 72. That way, that's the 0, 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, so we need to add it to the list backwards. So I'm going to have a private list generic, and then there's me rocket parts, and I'm going to say rocket parts equals new rocket parts, and then we're going to say rocket parts dot insert at position 0 component rocket part. Now that's a bit wasteful going to get that rocket part again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say var part equals go dot get component rocket part. And instead of all of this, it's just going to be that. So that's our rocket part is now there. So for our positions, we need to know the index number. So the index number is going to be it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that there is our ship number. So 0, 1 is those positions, and then, oh, I know what we can do. So if you specify a number in there, what we do is we say if the number you specify is greater than, I'm trying to be clever here. Essentially, I wasted a bit of time on this, so I've scrubbed through it to get through to the code. It was late when I recorded this, and I couldn't wrap my head around what needed to be done. So after a cup of tea, got my head straight, and that's where we jump back into the code right now. So a little bit of mathematical magic in here. So if the fuel level, I clear, first off, I clear everything. I set everything to 0, so the fuel count is 0. So if it's empty, then we're not going to do anything with this. And then for values 1 through 6, in other words, the first fuel element has been put down, the second fuel element put down, and so on. That's rocket 1, rocket 2, and rocket 3. And then each one of them has a fuel cell of 1 or 2, depending on how many fuel items are in that particular piece of the rocket. And the way I figured it out was, if I just take this here, pump that there, so this code's all together. I take the fuel level, which is in the range 1 to 6 now, because it's when fuel level is not 0. So if it's in the range 1 to 6, I subtract 1 from it, divide it by 2, and then that gives me the rocket ID, which is going to be 001122 from these values here. So that's how I figured that out. And then the fuel level is just going to be whatever the fuel level you specify in mod 2. So that gives me a remainder of 0 or 1. And if it's 0, then it's level 2. Because that's when it equals that. And then I just set the values here. So I go through all of these, and then I set the fuel count to be 2 for all the complete parts, and then I set the fuel level count to be the correct value for that one there. And it works. And it works beautifully. So if I set this to 1, you can see that you've got one item here. Set it 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if I set it back to 0 and I go and collect all the parts, you'll see what it looks like when I actually gather all the fuel. I'm not going to gather fuel, but I will set the values. So if I go in here and grab this one here, so this is the last one to grab. So when you get the fuel levels, it'll be level 1, level 2, level 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's it. That's this video done. I'm not going to do any more for this video, but yeah, that's the rocket parts done. That's good. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it the old thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it the old thumbs down. Leave a comment below as well. All of these things help rise us up in the YouTube algos, and I really appreciate it because it really drives the channel forward a little bit. And as always, if you did enjoy this, you got this far, and you want timely reminders of when I put new videos up, then don't forget to hit the old subscribe button and notification bell, and YouTube will work its algorithms and give unto you these videos, whatever, or not. It's up to you. It's a free country. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.